very warm welcome to all you lovely viewers to another episode of Women's World. I'm your host, Oinitam. 2018 has really been a year of highs and lows, particularly for the women of Northeast. Be it in the world of sports, world of cinema, business, entrepreneurship, women from the region has managed to make it big, go global. In the world of sports, Mary Kom, Hima Das, Anshu Jensampa, Mirabai Chanu, Ashmita Chaliha, the list is unending. Rima Das glorified not just cinema of the region but of India by making it to the Oscars. Success stories of women achievers of Northeast is unending. But let us not forget about the several instances of crime against women and the huge Me Too movement that tarnished the image and careers of many high-profile men. Many feel the movement was much needed and will now ensure that women are seen in better light. To talk about how 2018 was, what about the schemes which were announced for the women, how much did all of these help the women, and what are the expectations from the new year? I am joined by Dr. Sriparna Barua. She is the head of Center for Industrial Extension at the Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship. She works very closely with women in the MSME space. Also on today's show is Juhi Sabu. She is the promoter of Tera Maya, a popular hangout in Guwahati, and leading businessman of the region, Janobi Fukan. She is the vice chairman, JTI Group, and the national vice president of FICCI Flow. So, welcome all of you ladies on the show today. So, let me start by asking each one of you, when we look back, how was 2018? So, let's first start with Sriparna.
2018, according to me, was a year when women have been more seriously looked at. So I'm very proud to be a woman in 2018. Yes. Looking forward with a lot of enthusiasm towards 2019. Now, when we say that women have been taken very seriously, women have proved themselves, you've just now mentioned the areas where, particularly from Northeast, where women have made a mark. But even otherwise, you look at every sphere that we look at, women have made a mark, and there is a realization globally, nationally, that unless and until we are taking this 50% of the population and seriously looking at the 50% of the population, which is women, then no development can take place without taking cognizance of women. So that way I feel 2018 has been a very, very eventful year as far as women is concerned.
Right. Coming to both of you in the studio here, what has been your takeaways from 2018?
So for me, I think, like Sriparna Ba just mentioned, definitely it's been a year of reckoning for us from the Northeast and for us women at large. We spoke of the Me Too movement and we stepping out of the cocoon and really going out there and claiming our space there and really picking up the spade and calling it what it is. That's been a huge one. I mean, there has been a lot of talk on the other side of it also, but I think just stepping up and making our space, we've been able to do that. I don't think now we women from the Northeast or even in the Indian diaspora are really struggling to create a mark for ourselves. I think what we are now looking at is more flowing up to really scale up at an individual and at a regional capacity. And that's what 2018 has done. So the mark has been created, we've created our space, there's no struggle for that. I wouldn't say that in absolute terms, but yes, largely there has been a huge shift. But what next? I think there is a huge scope now with respect to where we move to now.
Exactly.
Going forward. Janobi, what's your take on 2018? And also personally, you've just been awarded the Face of the Month. So how does it feel?
Well, I think that was very humbling, and it's just part of what we are doing in this work in tourism, where we are also carrying women along with us. But I would like to say that let's look at the Economic Survey of India. First time, 2018, published in pink. They have taken the gender issue very seriously. when the government wakes up to this issue, it's going to be positive news. They have examined several parameters, and they can see that where women have, our workforce has declined in 2004 from 35% to 29%. Government is examining the who's and whys of this. And they are going to be carrying the women along. And they realize that no country can grow, no economy can improve if the women are not carried along. Like Christine Lagarde had said that if you have, only if a woman goes forward will the country economy move.
Exactly.
Right.
So on that note, I think 2018 has been a year of reckoning. Women are getting its place in the sun. And 2019, we can only look forward to more things from the Northeast and the rest of the country.
Let me bring this point to you, Shriparna. She mentioned that the number of women in the workforce has declined. Don't you see this as a cause of worry? And would you also throw some light as to why has this happened?
I think it's a proper survey which has been done properly this time, which is actually reflecting the correct data. Statistics is something you really cannot make a...
Yes.
Of course, we have to value statistics,
Right,
but I think
right.
overall the women have taken a lot of, there's been a lot of empowerment amongst women.
All right.
And most of the policies and the schemes which have come up, there has been a reach amongst even the bottom of the pyramid women, both men and women, but definitely more for women, because there has been a lot of women-specific schemes. There has been a direct bank transfer of. So actually, if you look at what has happened to women, you will find that there have been more empowerment, so psychological empowerment as well as economic empowerment. Okay. So I don't think there is a need to worry, because even at the bottom of the pyramid, people are getting conscious. There's a realization because, you look at, there's a proper evaluation of various schemes which are taking place. So if otherwise earlier it used to happen that, you don't know who has, how much benefit has been transferred, today we can actually understand whether the benefit has been transferred or not. So that I think is a very, very positive thing.
So in a way, whatever schemes have been announced for the women folk so far, does that mean that they have managed to achieve the goals set by the government?
At the bottom of the pyramid, yes, to a large extent, because there is a bank transfer. But if you look at, we have to look at women segment-wise.
Yes.
And if you look at the mid-segment, and if you look at people, especially who are trying to scale up, there is a very good scheme which is there, the Stand Up India scheme, specifically for women, which talks about till about 10 crores. You without a collateral, you get bank finance. But there again, the challenge really is very tough for a woman. You look at the statistics there, how many women have actually got the Stand Up India scheme, funds under Stand Up India scheme. Because that banks, we have to be, because any sort of development, when we talk about empowerment, economic, I'm talking more about the economic empowerment.
Right. Yes.
It has to be the woman has to get a, finance. That continues to remain a big challenge for women.
Yeah.
Because although you say you don't need a collateral, but there is always a securities, and then that becomes the biggest challenge for a woman. So that way, definite schemes are there, but then implementation needs more emphasis.
And also, Juhi, do you think, the economic survey being printed in pink, does the story end there?
Well, personally and even otherwise, I think there's only so much that can be done with respect to the presentation of it.
All right.
And it being printed in pink is probably a statement that we are making. But is it really backed up?
Yes.
Are we walking the talk? That's where the question is. And that's where I think the question with respect to any issue always is. So I think we have to look beyond that.
Yeah,
it just is an indicator, but a very small one, a fledgling one, I would say.
So is the government, are the societies doing enough as far as, women empowerment in its real sense is concerned? Have we reached where we thought we would at the end of 2018?
Well, now, the other thing you look at for women's decision-making process, that is crucial. And where they say in the Northeast, the decision-making is better for women in the sense they can participate in the household, what they're going to be eating, what they're going to be buying, that's there. But on the other hand, the literacy rates are also higher than the rest of the country. We're still falling behind. look at states like Nagaland.
Yes.
55 years, no woman has been ever elected. Look at Meghalaya.
Even Mizoram
It is Mizoram.
just concluded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look at Meghalaya with the matrilineal society.
Yes.
The whole uproar over the 33% reservation
Yeah. Yes,
in
yes, yes.
in
Plus
in the assembly.
Yeah, and the lineage bill that they are talking about now.
The other tribal states like Nagaland, where you're not allowed the right to property.
Yes.
So the more they've gone forward in the Manipur, where the women are such an active force, but they are politically way
Still,
behind.
yeah.
So unless our women has more and more empowerment in that political sense, I think we have to go out and work on that more. And women are more conscious now, and that would help in every other thing. Yeah, the more we've gone ahead, this political decision making is something we have to take into account now.
So I also spoke with Hasina Kharbi. She joined us from Shillong. She's the founder and chairman of Impulse NGO Network. That's the organization that has been fighting against human trafficking and works extensively for the welfare of women. Thank you, Hasina, for joining us so much. So let me start by asking you, what are your takeaways when you look back? How has 2018 treated you?
I think 2018 has seen a lot of opportunities for the women from the Northeast, and it has been, in fact, a year where we saw, a lot of achievers from the Northeast. Whether we are talking about sports, whether we're talking about entrepreneurs, when we are talking about a lot of social impact initiative, women getting a lot of awards. It has been quite an enormous year of 2018. I mean, that's what we have observed, and then a lot of publicity and media intervention has come about very much, 2018. I mean, it's a non-stop. So that has been 2018 for the Northeast and the women of the Northeast.
Okay, on the personal front, you received the Asia Leadership Energy Award.
Yeah, personally for me, I think 2018 has been a good start, with so much of opportunities that I was being able to reach out in terms of the work that I do. And as the year come to a close too, I mean, like receiving the, the Leadership Energy Award. I mean, when I received the Leadership Energy Award in 2018, from Asia, it was enormously something that I never expected. So I think it was quite, something that I really was not expecting, but it was happening globally, and it took me to the next level. So that was something. And then connecting the Northeast to Middle East, connecting the Northeast to having an engagement with Myanmar for the work that I do. It has been enormously a very, focused year and a year of a lot of happenings.
All right, Hasina, let's talk about the rate of crime against women in 2018. What do you have to say about the graph?
If you're looking at when we're looking at the crimes, or when we are looking at the, rising of crimes in the region, definitely there has been more reports that has come up, and I would see the kind of, how media has come as a strong force, and the kind of multiple social media engagement with what's happening with the community has also brought to light a lot of unreported crimes. So I don't say that in the past there was no crimes against women.
Exactly.
There has been crimes against women in the past as well. But now I think because of the kind of platform, the kind of reach, the kind of communication, that we see more, of these reports. So I would not say that 2018 was more crime, and in the past years it was not there, because having worked on the issue of trafficking and crime against women over the years, the cases has been almost in the same, but it has not been, communicated by, people, communities, individuals. So that's the difference.
So in a way, social media has played a greater role. Of course, the electronic media, the print media is always there, but it's the social media in a way has started to play a bigger role in reporting crimes against women.
Yeah, the other part is that today that all forms of media, you know. When we're talking about, I mean, a television channel or the print is the main form of media. But the social media is a complete different platform altogether, because it is not journalists who's reporting, it's communities, it's individuals, it's an organization. They have been using that platform to share crimes against women, to share, you know, incidences that happen, you know, to share the kind of cases unreported. So that has also taken a lead where discussion on numbers, discussion of unresolved crime has come forward. But in the past, this kind of platform was not very much used by organization or individual. So that's where we feel that there are more crimes. But if you go back by data and statistic on reported crime, organization like Impulse NGO Network has been registering these cases over the years. There's been numbers in 2016, 2015. But because these are not discussed, you know, on the social space, so we feel that the crime is not there. So I think when we look at crime, the graph is completely, you know, growing over the years. But with the media in perspective, everybody is becoming a citizen journalist reporting on it, you know.
All right, let's now come back to the studios here in Guwahati. Let's talk a little bit about what we just heard Hasina talk about, the crime rate, the graph, and also the role of media, particularly social media. We just had this huge Me Too movement happening. So as ladies from the business space, what has been your, you know, take on the crime rate against women? Do you feel that, you know, though, of course, maybe like Hasina mentioned, that the reporting has been more at this point of time, though maybe the number has not gone up. What has been your feeling, your sense about the number of crime that we have seen in the past 2018?
I completely agree with what Hasina has said. I think there's been more reporting, and which is again a very, very important thing, a very big empowerment as far as women are concerned, because women now no longer shy away to report.
Right.
So I think that's something very, very positive, and we need to really be happy about it.
So do you think that this is the outcome of maybe a better, you know, law enforcement agencies being more proactive? Maybe the legal system has improved. Is that why the women are feeling?
So. I don't think.
All right.
So. I don't
I would say the crime rate is also directly connected to the illegal invasion that we've had.
All
so
right.
that is why there's such a skewed system.
Okay. You mean to say the crime rate, particularly in this part of the country?
Part of the Northeast,
in the
yes.
Northeast, because of the illegal migration that we have witnessed?
Definitely has added to that.
All right. And how do you look at this entire thing about, you know, women taking to social media first? Like earlier, we have had discussions on this particular show, as in fact, about how the law enforcement agencies act. People prefer not to go to the police, but they prefer putting it out on their Facebook or maybe tweet about it. So just trying to understand the psyche. Why do you think they do that?
Immediately you get a reinforcement because others are agreeing, jump into it, and then, you know, that's a positive reorientation. So reinforcement that, you know, that builds up your confidence.
Okay.
So that becomes
what
a
about
big
the
boost.
entire justice?
So it exactly points at the direction that the question we began with, actually. That is it really that they are coming out to the front and reporting because there is a more just and active legal system in place? Or is it that now I've got to take the power in my hands and do whatever best I can to serve justice for myself?
Okay. So basically we are now, most of the women folk, they are now thinking that, okay, to hell with the entire legal system and everything, let me do whatever I can, because I'm so very frustrated that I have never been able to get justice for whatever ills that has happened to me
or around me.
Yeah, so basically that's the force.
Yeah. On the other hand, I must put in another point about, with due respect to the media, there's a lot of TRPs being generated on sensationalizing. So that is something which is unfortunate. It degrades the woman, it degrades the man, and the media and the haste for TRPs are not doing justice. So I think there, that little bit of dignity has to be maintained, and I think a lot of that. And we also, when we're talking about the social media, be very, very careful about the fake news and the other news. which we know how much of ramification that's had for us.
Of course.
If you look at the
Yeah.
Dr.
Other thing is, women, there's a myth that women are women's worst enemies, always enemies.
Yes.
I think that's getting broken now because women have come in large numbers to support the Me Too
stand up for
movement,
each
to
other.
stand
Yes,
up for each other.
yes, yes,
That's
yes.
again, that's, I think it's a myth that women are women's worst enemies. Never, I mean, that is something we are breaking and that needs to be highlighted. I'm very strong on
And
that.
also, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, please.
Also, with due respect to the Assam police, they do have the women's cells.
Yes,
And they've been very
they do.
proactive. And they have this, I think, Twitter and other social media that they are
Yes.
going for.
Helpline,
Yes,
all of that
they
is
are
in
trying
place.
to do that. So it's up to our women, and we must use the power that we have now responsibly. And it must not get sensationalized.
Right, yes. Of course, I am sure, most of the media world, they are very much aware of their responsibilities whenever we go out and report such things. And of course, there are many of our guidelines that we need to follow. But
very important.
yes, but don't you think that, unless and until we take up these issues, many a times, it will never be reported and justice
No,
will,
absolutely.
because
That needs to be
the
done too.
entire Me Too movement, it's only when the entire electronic media, the print media
Exactly.
took it up, did some movement happen, and many
completely.
people actually
Yeah, no, this,
felt-
I'm not talking about the Me Too movement.
Yes,
I'm saying
no,
the
generally,
other in generally,
yes.
not the Me Too.
No, but generally
Me Too
also
needed
we
to be
have a
done.
lot of guidelines to follow.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So of course, now we quickly slip into a break now. Please do not go anywhere. We have a lot more to discuss about the year that just passed by, and of course, what are our expectations from the new year. Hello and welcome. I'm Moinitam and you're watching Women's World. So as 2018 draws to a close and we are all set to welcome 2019, I have in the studios with me businesswomen from the region, social activists from the region to talk about how the year has been for the women of Northeast and also what are our expectations in the new year. So let's go back to our discussion. We were just talking about the entire Me Too movement, crime against women. Hasina highlighting few of the points there as she joins us from Shillong. So carrying forward the discussion on these particular very important issues as far as women are concerned, let's talk a little bit about what has the huge Me Too movement been able to achieve for us. Have we already forgotten all about that movement, or has it been able to make some kind of an impact on how people look at women now? And also, what about those women who are still suffering in most of the workplaces, most offices? Do they still have the necessary guidelines in place? Are we women aware of our rights, what we need to do in case we face some kind of harassment at workplaces or even at our homes? So what do you have to say, because you have been working straight from the ground level to the top. So when we talk about the Me Too movement, do you think that we've already fast forgotten about all of it, or has there been some changes that you have noticed?
I don't think we've forgotten. I don't think at all, because what has happened with the Me Too movement is that women, there is some sort of a confidence that women have got, and there is a subtle, unknowingly, a subtle realization amongst men that they cannot cross their boundaries. Right?
Yeah.
So anyone earlier, if they thought that I should just keep quiet, see, she now knows that if I raise a voice somewhere, I will be heard.
Yeah.
So that is something very important and very strong.
Yes, and a big positive.
Very big positive. We have been having the Vishaka judgment. We had the internal complaints committee, but so far those committees have just remained
as committees.
As committees. But now we know that if some complaint somewhere comes in, it's taken very, very seriously. The management is often scared not to take it seriously.
Right.
So even today, even the psychology, like I talk about my niece who's out, she's traveling, her mother was really, thinking, worried.
Yeah.
Then I just told her mother, my sister-in-law, that don't worry, if, someone tries to do anything, she raises a small voice.
Yes.
So that confidence I can give to anyone,
Right.
and the girl feels confident. So I think these are very, very important things.
Positives of
positives
the
of
movement.
that.
Right. But my question still remains that there are many women, maybe many young girls also, who face a lot of harassment in their office spaces, maybe at their homes also, but they are unable to raise their voice. So in such scenario, what would your suggestions be? How should such things be tackled?
I think what's coming up really is what Shiparna Ba was mentioning, a woman being a woman's enemy.
Yes.
That myth being broken. So firstly, even if we look at the Me Too movement, any movement for that matter creates a shift in energy. It creates boundaries, it sets new permissions in place, and I think those permissions are now available to the woman, even if it's a young one. And in fact, the younger generation, it amazes me with respect to how they can really forge ahead with whatever the issue may be and not shy about it really impacting their individuality.
Right.
And at
Yes.
the same time, for the ones who still feel gripped
Yep.
in their system, or what I would say is look out for that support in your ecosystem.
Yeah.
And probably people from your tribe of women
Right.
is where the support can really come in.
Yes.
And you can gain your strength. So whether it's in the corporate sphere
Yes.
or within the precincts of your home, I'm sure it's all about latching on to that little bit of courage, which can really come from the shifts that are created by movements such as this.
And even
Absolutely, yeah.
teachers, for example,
Yes.
if you're a student, even teachers are getting very conscious, You can just go and approach a lady teacher, you could go and approach any other teacher.
Yes.
I have had instances of girl students having problems, harassment at home, but then their teachers have been, what she was talking about, the
Yeah,
ecosystem.
ecosystem.
So you look out for the ecosystem. Your culture may not, your family might not allow you, but
Yes.
then your larger ecosystem will definitely allow you, and you just need to approach that.
Yeah, that is why we feel that organizations such as ours,
Yes.
in FICCI Flow,
Right.
with 6,000 women based, 15 chapters pan India, we would like to, we cater from the grassroots to the mid-level to the top level. So there we are there for women. And with the social media in place, nobody has an excuse not to be able to reach out. So whether if you can't get in your immediate ecosystem, there are, with the Me Too
Right.
movement and the hashtag there, nobody can go around. And I think more and more that confidence is growing. No women, and if you look at I'm talking about the rural grassroots, they will come forward. Even if it's the Anganwadi worker,
Yeah.
she also knows that, is armed with that information.
Yeah.
The information arming and the knowledge growth is crucial. However, the one thing I'd like to point out here is that our women still have a very low mobile penetration.
Right.
If you have more
Yes.
mobile penetration, that'll be the other end good. When we find that that would increase the economy of the country and the welfare.
Right.
So that is what our government should look forward to, because the men, there's a large internet penetration, mobile penetration, but it's by the men. The women
Yeah,
are
as far
still
as the
lagging
women
behind.
are concerned.
So we would like to put that mobile phone on each woman's hand today, and that is what I know our government is working towards. Then
Yeah.
we will see that no woman will be left behind.
But there are certain, there's this aspect also to this entire Me Too movement that may, particularly as far as the corporate space is concerned, it might actually end up harming the women folk, because the men now feels a little threatened to have women on board. Do you look at it that way, or you think it's too far-fetched?
It's too far-fetched,
Yeah.
number one, because I'm not being biased, but
Yeah.
then women in generally, they are much more hardworking.
Yes.
Right? Much more hardworking. I work with a lot of girls and a lot
Yes.
of women. They're much more hardworking. You look at it business, you look at the corporate sector, people who work, there are, even if you look at the business entrepreneurship space, you will find that the loan repayment is much better in case
Yeah.
of women. So basically, there are certain factors
More
which are
honest and-
inbuilt in
yeah.
a woman. They can multitask. So no one would like to get a good worker out from a company, right? So the
cannot
talent
afford to
is
have
And
something.
even if it's temporary, I
temp
think
doesn't
to
matter.
arrive to a place of responsibility and wisdom, And when it's
Doesn't
not
matter.
happening naturally, then probably fear is the name of the game or the tool in the interim phase. And I think that's the transition that we may be at, even if that is the case, while I do not really collaborate to that. But I think there's still a larger issue of inequality in pay, for that matter, which still exists, a 34% gap that we're still talking of.
True. Yeah.
So, you know, the threat bit of it, I think we've claimed our space, and I think we can still work around that, even if the threat exists.
And the other side of it is that many men say that some women could take advantage. So what I feel is that if some percentage of it that happens, doesn't matter for a larger good.
Yes, that will happen. And in fact, we need more and more, if you look at the top level, more and more women directors on board, which still has to take place.
Yeah,
Right.
has to take place now.
Right.
So that is the space we have to fight for.
Yeah, that is another
Private
space we
companies
need
and
to
all
fight.
who haven't done much about it. I know the government will take cognizance about it in 2019.
Basically breaking the glass ceiling.
Yes.
We still have
that's
to
another mandate
break
that you need to have a women on board, but you hardly have companies with women on board.
We hope 33% reservation is going to come.
Is going to happen. Yes.
Women directorship is going to come in.
Yeah, and
hopefully
2019, we hope
is
that, you know,
crucial.
we no longer have to speak of ourselves as women. We talk about as
As just
As the larger
Larger
workforce,
workforce.
the people.
Right. So let's bring in Hasina once again here. Hasina, what about the judiciary, the law enforcement agencies? Do you think our legal system is doing their bit now? What do you have to say about how the government's response has been to a lot of women-related issues, human trafficking, all those issues there?
You know, the legal system, the judiciary, you know, they are becoming more alert and more vigilant because of the pressure that these social platform and media are engaging themselves to talk about the apathy of the law or the apathy of judicial system. So there's more alertness, there's more, you know, focus that they have to act upon it, you know. And the other factor, we have seen also good things that happen, like we have the new POCSO, you know, laws that has come about in this year, and then we have the anti-trafficking bill, which was tabled and is still being tabled now for the winter session. So these are new laws that are also coming up as a response to address the issue of, you know, I mean, you know, crime against women, whether we are talking about human trafficking, whether we are talking about, you know, crimes against children, you know. So that's also the other angle that 2018 took shape, you know, in engaging more response. I mean, it's a government response to it.
Yeah. Now, also one significant thing that 2018 saw was the introduction of the lineage bill by the Khasi Hills Autonomous Development Council. This is definitely significant as far as Meghalaya is concerned. Of course, also the fact that, you know, we in the Northeast feel that our women are way more empowered. And going back to Meghalaya, it's a matriarchal society. So this particular bill, of course, a major controversy erupted. So what are your views on that? Of course, I'll throw this to all of you in the studio as well, but let's hear from you, Hasina, first.
I think when we talk about the matrilineal society and the bill, you know, that was very controversial in nature because it was trying to, you know, discriminate women's rights which was there traditionally and culturally, you know, aligning their decision of, you know, choosing a partner that you get, you know, I mean, you get actually not to be a Khasi anymore. I mean, that was more controversial in nature, but I think it shows that how patriarchal system was there and it was never brought in the foremost. So the matrilineal society was very much, you know, something that we were respecting, but there was also a lot of men who were not accepting the matrilineal society. So it was more controversial. It brought among a lot of women to speak out, a lot of women to raise the thoughts that choosing a partner is completely a personal right.
All right. Hasina, we had earlier discussed about the Me Too movement. Would like to hear from you your take on this particular movement.
I think the Me Too movement was a movement that has taken off, you know, from the West for quite some time. It came up to India more, I mean, actively and more responsive by a lot of individuals and a lot of women. it also had a lot of women speaking about what happened. It brought about more collective strength of women to talk about incidences that's happened in their life. But it also has the other factor where in some incidences, in some of the the kind of response of the Me Too is dragging a situation, misusing that power of Me Too. I mean, there was also the other debate on the other side, So it has the good thing, it also had the challenging aspect as well.
All right, before I let you go, what are your expectations from the new year?
I look forward as a women human rights defender, a social entrepreneur, that 2019 paved the way for more women at the grassroots from the Northeast, to channelize their strength and open new doors in terms of economic opportunities and livelihood, so that it gives them a choice, it gives them a choice of power, a choice of non-migration, and also support non-exploitation when they have the power to choose. So I look forward to more of that, especially being from this region, from the Northeast, and having worked with so many women over the years. So I would look for that, and I would look at the anti-trafficking bill, which is being tabled now, in the winter session, see the light of the day in 2019, and there will be more collective and single window approach to address human trafficking in the country.
All right, thank you so much, Hasina. Now coming back, you've heard Hasina talk about the matriarchal society and all. So is it a myth that women from the Northeast are more empowered than the rest?
Well, we would say some parts we are. Let us not forget that. Let us always claim that right,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
That we didn't have a caste system, we didn't have a dowry system. Those are the
Right.
positives. Let's keep it, yes. The others were the tribal laws which affect our tribal sisters, but not us in the
Yes.
Assam.
Yeah.
And the fact that we had that equal status in society, which is a huge plus by itself. Having said that, we have the other
few,
issues, yes, which have. But considering this, and then so we come back to the point that more and more we have to fight for the political space.
Right. You think only then maybe
Political
we'll be able
space.
to. But why have we not been able to, like for, if like you mentioned few of the states, why has it not happened? Is it the psyche that we have not seen many women politicians in many of our northeastern states? Or is it the patriarchal thing that dominates? No matter how much we claim that we are matriarchal, our women are better off, the market spaces are dominated by women, but end of the day when it comes to governance issues, it's always the men folk.
I think in a way, if you look at it, when we say women are empowered here, much more,
Yes.
of course, I agree with what Jahnavi said, that definitely in terms of access to education, etc., we are much better off.
Yeah.
But in terms of economic activity, I think in some way women are more harassed, more sort of dominated than men, because here you are talking about places like Manipur, Meghalaya, etc.
Yes.
Women are always at the marketplace,
Absolutely,
and when they
yeah.
go back, they also have to doubly exploited. I would
Yes,
say.
yes, the home front, taking care of the
as
domestic
well as in
issues.
the you are made to work.
Yes.
You are made
You're
to
the
work
bread
because
earner,
if
you're
you're
the
late,
bread maker, everything.
because in Manipur is a state where I've worked on many projects, and
Yes.
I've seen and worked at the grassroots level, seen that when you go to the Imam Bazaar, you find women sitting there till 7 o'clock, but then when they go back home,
yeah.
and if they're late, it doesn't mean that they get the
They're
respect
not-
back at home.
Right.
So in a way they are, so maybe those are some of the subtle challenges which are there, which they just keep themselves occupied, that they cannot think about going beyond that.
Okay.
They cannot think about going beyond that. That's why maybe in the political sphere, etc., many women are there in the workforce. Many women could be contributing to the economic activity, but beyond that, they have not been able to go up. That could be one of the reasons why we don't see so many women in the
particularly the political space
sphere, political
in the
sphere,
governance, world of governance and all. Janvi, how would you like to react to this entire thing? That women still unable to make their mark beyond the point.
Yes, that is there. I think with once we have, our women have to, the fact is that our women at least went out to work. The rest
Right.
of the mainland India, they could not even go out. They are still, so it's a very disorganized. Women are there in all the fields. So they are working, but it's unpaid, unorganized, and totally unappreciated task that they are in. So, and if you look at agriculture, which is the mainstay of our economy, the women holdings are disastrous, abysmally low. So if they had their holdings, which I think there's a government initiative towards that, give women their land holdings, let them get that mobile telephone in their hands, let them get that mobile banking system in their hands, then they can still stay at home.
Like you mentioned that maybe those bottlenecks, last mile challenges should go away.
Should go away, and that can only happen if she's more and more economically empowered.
Yes, so that can only happen.
Yes.
So whereas since our women do double work, they work in the fields and they work at home, and work for their men as well, they will be able to do that. So I think we will come towards that.
Yeah. Juhi, you would like to add something there?
So what I was thinking was that the hands that weave are that of a woman. The fingers that pluck those leaves are that of a woman. And yes, we are coming from a region where we have been relatively more empowered, but we are talking of a theory of relativity.
Right.
And it's a great idea to consolidate, I think, and say that, okay, this is all that has been working really well for us, and we've done well in all of this. But these are things that are staring us in our face with respect to issues of access, issues of scale up, issues of empowerment. I think if we are able to do that, rather than either rest on this gifted throne of, yes, we are doing a lot better than the women across, which is a yes. But okay, that's done.
Yeah.
And or look at it from a cynical approach, which also wouldn't serve a purpose. So it's time to really consolidate and then say, okay, this is what we need to do. And I think scale up and access to finance and also access to education. How many girls are really getting past the 8th standard in school? I mean, that's a big question mark. And that again goes back to trafficking and what kind of employability is there for women, for young women. So I think it's like the complete gamut that we are looking at. And if we have decision makers and voices of women at the government level, then it kind of flows back, because somewhere somebody is picking up that pain, voicing it out, and building the blocks up.
Yeah, so a lot of changes necessary.
At every level. When you're talking about grassroots, there's a different set of challenge. When you're talking about lower middle class, there's another set of challenge. Then absolutely people who are empowered, even there are subtle challenges.
Right.
There are a lot of subtle challenges, like even the mindset of women who are educated, that needs to change. Most of the time when you look at entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, we have a large database of women who are doing some sort of business. But how many people have actually scaled up?
Right.
How many people do we have like Juhi, Jahnavi here? You will always find that you try to count, you'll find just few numbers. Why is that happening? Why is that happening? Are women only happy by earning something? It's like, again, an underemployment somewhere, where your husband is there, he's earning, so I'm earning a little bit, so I'm happy.
Yes.
So that mindset also needs to change.
Maybe we need to push ourselves.
We need to push
get
ourselves
more ambitious
on the, doing business. We need to push ourselves on that. If I'm an educated woman, then when I'm sort of my girl child, what is the mindset I'm putting to my girl child? I've seen so many women educated. When it comes to their daughters, they'll say that now that you've studied, everything is over, come back, get married. So that's a big that is something I always question.
Even how they're bringing up their sons.
Right.
A lot of that is being spoken of. I mean, how you are empowering the women, but are you preparing your sons to really welcome and embrace that change?
Right. So before we wind up, your expectations from the new year?
As I mentioned, 2018 has been a game changer as far as women is concerned. 2019, and I would look at more, not talking only about women, would like to look at ourselves as a workforce, as human beings, apart from gender agnostic. And I think that would actually empower us more. So that's what I look for in 2019.
Yeah. Jahnavi, you.
Well, I'd like to end by also mentioning that's the first time our Northeast had 36 women from the Northeast who are handling the
Yes.
commandos.
Right, right.
We have
yeah.
one Manipuri woman who's in fact among the 6 naval officers to have circumnavigated the globe. We have Rima Das, who's done us
Yeah.
proud. We have Hima Das. And first time, I think 6 names went up in the Asian Games.
Yes.
5 of them were women, 1 man. So this is
Lot of
a joyous
good
time.
things,
And,
yes.
and the awareness has grown. There's positivity in the air, and with more and more the internet penetration, political awareness, and the mentoring, which I know all of us who are in the little privilege setup or information that we can generate, we must also work for our fellow women, wherever we can reach out. And female literacy. That is, we can do adult
Yes.
literacy rates, each of us, teach a child at home, teach a woman at home. Let us do a bit.
Yeah.
We can't depend on the government for everything. All of us plays a role, we'll all grow together.
Yeah. Juhi, finally, your
Yeah, so it's almost like talking of a wish list and a bond. That's what I'm feeling like right now when you're asking me this. I would look at it firstly for the urban woman and for people like even from the likes of walks of ours. If she can really claim her individuality, embrace her femininity, claim her individuality and respect for herself in her eyes and therefore in the eyes of everybody around her. It's a huge change in the social fabric actually, and if that change happened, this would be a top-down kind of a change that will flow down to the grassroots level. So I think that is one bucket list, I think, item not for 2019 alone, but it's a long-term one. I definitely want to see or hear more voices at the decision-making level. And of course, at the grassroots level, for example, just to quote, not too far away from Guwahati, there is this group of women who are potters. But they have been struggling to survive surely because of the techniques still being manual. And we try to do our best at the Flow Northeast level to mechanize their techniques and to be able to compete with everything else that's happening. So if we are able to give access to the scale up with technology and finances to the people who are right now at the brink of figuring out whether they need to really quit all that they have been doing, which is also legacy based and a part of our rich cultural heritage, and move on to alternate employment opportunities, which is going to open up a completely different gamut of exploitation. So I think if we are able to give them access from the urban and as well as from the government groups, I think that's going to be a great one.
all right. Thank you all for joining me here today on this special show of Women's World. Thank you, viewers, so much for watching. Wishing each one of you a very happy new year, and definitely looking forward to having many, many more women achievers throughout 2019, and wishing all of you a very happy new year once again. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.